Hi guys, it's Jessy. So today I'm going to show you how to make this chicken hat for your American Girl doll or your 18-inch doll. I'm going to add a beak and eyes to it, and I'm going to show you how to make these curls that go on top. It's going to be like a beanie style, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, you can use any type of yarn you want and any size of crochet hook you want because this pattern is based on measurements rather than stitches. But I am using the Premier Just Yarn, which is from the Dollar Tree. It's a medium weight and this color is going to be yellow. I'm also using a Dollar Tree crochet hook, which is a 6.5 millimeter, and I'm going to start out by doing a slip knot. And then I'm going to insert my hook into that slip knot and I'm going to chain 20. So to chain, I yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So then I have about 20, and you can take, if you have a different size of yarn or a different crochet hook, we can find out what this measurement is. Okay, so without it being stretched a ton, it is about 6 inches. If we stretch it, it's going to be about 7, and that works for an American Girl doll's head. So once you have your chain to the desired length that you want, we're going to go ahead and chain in the third chain from the hook. So the loop around the hook doesn't count, and then we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and we're going to start with a double crochet into that space. So I'm going to yarn over, I'm skipping these two, I'm inserting my hook into that third space, I'm going to yarn over, pull that loop out. I have 3 loops on my hook, yarn over again, pull through 2 loops, yarn over again, pull through 2 loops. So that was a double crochet. I'll do that with you one more time. Insert, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, pull through 2 loops. And we're going to work that all the way across until you get to about 1, 2, 3 from the end of your chain. So I'll meet you at that point. Okay, now this part is totally optional. You don't have to do this. You could just do double crochets all the way to the end. But in order to make the top crown part of the hat smaller, I'm just going to do slip stitches in these last 3 stitches. So to do a slip stitch, you just insert your hook and then you're going to pull that yarn all the way through and out, and all that is a slip stitch. And that's just going to make the top of the hat easier to go together because you're thinning it out. Again, that's totally optional. You can just do the double crochets all the way across and then just gather it as well. So once you've done those 3 slip stitches, I'm going to chain 1 and then I'm going to flip my work, and then I'm going to do 3 slip stitches again back through that same area. So there's 1, there's 2, and here is 3. And now I'm going to go back to my double crochets, but I'm just going to do them in the back loops only. So what I mean by the back loops, I'll show you, is right here. Normally when we crochet, we would go through both of those. We're just going to go through this back one. So we're going to yarn over first, we're going to go through the back loop only, and then we'll just continue to do our double crochet, and that's going to give it that rigid texture. So we're going to work all the way until we get to the end again. Okay, so I am to the end. This part right here where we skipped those chains actually created our double crochet. So you can see there's 1 stitch left here. I'm going to go ahead and go through the back loop and the front loop just on this end one, just because I like the way it looks better on the edge. So it's gonna look like that, and then I'm gonna go ahead and chain 1, 2, I'm gonna flip my work, and then I'm gonna start here again with double crochets in the back loop only. So I'm gonna yarn over, go into that loop, and then just do, like I said, double crochets all the way across until I get to where I have 3 left, and then I will slip stitch. So I'll meet you at that point. Okay, so I've made it to the end. I did my 3 slip stitches, and now I'm gonna do my first curl for the top of the hat. So I'm gonna go ahead and chain 6. So I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna flip our work, and then we're gonna work this way. I'm gonna bring my yarn around to the side, and I'm gonna skip the first chain from the hook, and I'm gonna go into the second one, and I'm just gonna do single crochets. So I'm going into this one, I'm yarning over, and I'm pulling through, and then I just have 2 loops on my hook. I'll yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. Then I'm gonna go back into that same space again and do 2 more single crochets. So this will be my second, and this will be my third. And I'm just gonna do that in every single space. So then in my next chain, I'm also gonna do 3 single crochets. And that's gonna give a curve. So there was 2. Here is 3. Okay, and the next one I'm gonna do 3 as well. So I just did 1, 2, this will be my third, and then this will be my fourth. So we're doing that 4 times. Oops, don't yarn over first, it's just a single crochet. Okay, and once you get that done, you can see it kind of curls. It's a little spiral. And now we're gonna go back to our hat and work this direction. So again, we're gonna do those just slip stitches for these first 3. So there's 1 and 2, and this will be our 3, and then we will go back to our double crochets in the back loops only, right here. And we're gonna work that all the way to the end. And then once we get to the end, we'll do 1 that's in both the back loop and the front loop, and then we'll chain 2 and turn our work, and then we'll start our next row. So I'm gonna meet you when I'm over here. All right, I've made it, so we'll finish up our last stitch. We'll yarn over first. Remember, we'll go through the front and the back loop of this end one, and then just finish our double crochet. Then we're gonna chain 2, 1, 2. We're gonna turn our work like a book, and then we're gonna start with our double crochets in the back loops only. This first one, you can do the front and the back loop, and then after that, just do the back loops only. All the way across until we get to here. And then we'll do our 3 slip stitches, we'll chain 1, and then we'll do our 3 slip stitches back and work our way back with double crochets. So I'm gonna do a few rows, and then I'll meet you back probably when we're ready to do our next curl. Okay, so we've gone down and back and down and back. So essentially we've done 3 rows since our last curl. I'm just gonna finish up this last slip stitch, and then again I'm gonna chain 6 for that curl. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we'll do it the same way we did last time. I'm going to turn my work this direction. I'm going to skip that first loop from the hook, and I'm going to go into that second loop with 3 single crochets. So I'll go in there, yarn over, do my single crochet. Okay, so there you have it, another curl. And then I'm going to go back to my slip stitches and my double crochets, and then I'm going to do a curl about every 3 rows until I get to the desired length of my hat. So I'm probably about maybe a little less than halfway right now. So I'm going to keep going, and then I'll show you what it looks like. All right, so here I have my hat almost completed. I've done about 4 rows in between my curls, and then I think looks about like 3 rows after my last curl, and there's 2 curls before I started, or 2 rows before I started my first curl. And then what I like to do is I like to end on the bottom of my hat. Let me grab a quick measurement of this just so you know how big it is. Okay, so if I lay it across my measuring tape, I have about 12 inches, and that's just it laying flat. That's not me stretching it. So that's what I'm going for. If you used a different crochet hook or size of yarn, that's about how you want it, the length you want it if you are making it for a doll. So if you wanted, you could tie off your yarn at this point and just use a yarning needle to stitch up this. I like to bring them together and just slip stitch. I think that is easier, so I'm pinching them together. I've finished this last stitch up. I'm gonna go ahead and chain 1, and then I'm gonna turn my work and pinch these guys together. Now I'm going to go into the very bottom, and because I want it to look mostly like the pattern and be the least noticeable, I'm going to follow my pattern that I did before. So I'm going to go in between, I'm going to go through both the back and the front loop for this first one because that's what I've been doing all along. And then the next loop I'm going to grab, and I'm just going to go through the back loop of that one. I'll yarn over and slip stitch. Okay, and then I'll just repeat that, go through that one, just the back loops, slip stitch. And I'm going to do that all the way until I get to the top. You're going to have, it's going to be noticeable, like you'll have a seam either way, whether you use a needle or whether you slip stitch. So it's up to you how you want to finish it up, but I'll meet you when I'm to the top. Okay, I'm almost to the top. I just have my slip stitches left. I'm gonna go ahead and just switch to a smaller crochet hook here, just so I can get in to those spaces better. So that's an option if you can't get into your slip stitches. Or you can just use the same size of hook that you were using before. So one more. And then we'll finish up here, and okay, there it is. I'm gonna leave, I'm now gonna weave together the top of my hat and scrunch it together. So I'm gonna leave quite a bit of yarn. It's pretty small, so you don't need a ton, but you'll need at least enough to put your needle through. So I don't know, what was that, a little more than a foot, maybe 15 inches of yarn. Then I'll grab my needle and we'll stitch it together. So this last stitch that I did, I'm going to go ahead and pull it all the way through and then tie it off so it doesn't come undone. And you could tie these two together if you wanted. This is the tail end of from where I started. And that way you know for sure it ain't coming undone. Okay, and then we'll just go ahead and thread this guy. Mine is probably a little bit smaller. I would recommend getting a bigger needle. Okay, and then what we're gonna do is we're just gonna weave in and out. You're gonna make sure that your curls stick outward so you're not tucking them in your hat. Unless actually at this point you want to decide which is the outside and which is the inside of your hat. So I'm going to flip. I actually think I like this side better. Just because I had a flaw in my yarn right there. And I want that to be on the inside. So I'm going to go ahead and just flip my hat real quick and then we'll sew it up. So yeah, that's where my seam is. It's not that noticeable. But what I really want to do, so that would be the outside of my hat, but to stitch it up, I'm going to tuck these guys on the inside, and then I'm going to pull them together. You want to make sure they're tucked on the inside, and then I'll stitch around them and pull them together, and then we'll flip our hat. So what we're gonna do is just weave in and out like so. And then just kind of like string it together once you get it. Ew, and don't poke yourself. Okay, so I basically made it all the way around. Now I'm just gonna pull everything real tight and snug. And again, I can use this tail end and tie it together so nothing comes undone. And if you want, you could do a couple more stitches back and forth. I actually think that is good and it's not coming undone. So I'm just gonna go ahead and cut these ends off and then we'll put on our beak and eyes. Okay, so for my beak, I've grabbed a little bit of white yarn and I'm just gonna make a triangle. I'm gonna do the magic ring, so I'm gonna show you how to do that. And then if you can't do it or if you don't know, just try it at least one time. If you can't get it, I'll show you an alternative way. But the magic ring is just a really good thing to know how to do if you're crocheting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hand and I'm going to put my thumb and my pinky and I'm going to hold the tail end of my yarn. Then I'm going to wrap the yarn around my hand and I'm going to form an X on the back of my hand, and then I'm going to connect that and hold it in between my pinky and my thumb. And then when I flip over my hand, I will have two parallel lines. And then I will take my crochet hook. I'm actually going to use this bigger one so it's easier for you to see. And I'm going to go underneath that first one and grab the one that's behind and pull it through, and then I'm going to turn my hook at the same time, and then I'm going to grab that same piece of yarn and turn and pull it through, and there's my magic ring. So give that a try. If you can't, you can always chain 3 and make a circle. Okay, and from here I'm going to chain 2. So I'm going to go 1, 2. And then I'm going to yarn over and do a double crochet. So I'm doing that into my magic circle. One, and okay, so that was, I've chained 2 and then I've done a double crochet. I'm going to do another double crochet into my magic circle or into my chain of 3 loop. Okay, and now I'm just going to do a single crochet into the circle again. So there's a single crochet. I'm going to do one more single crochet. Now I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to do a double crochet. So I'm going to yarn over, go back into my circle. And 2, okay? And then I'm chaining 1. And then I'm going to repeat the opposite of that. So I'm going to do 2 single crochets. So there's 1, go back into the circle with a second single crochet, and then I'm going to do 2 doubles. So yarn over first and then go into my circle. Just 1, and then 1 more. And pull through. Okay, and then you can kind of pull your ring together. And then I'm going to finish it off with a chain 2. So go 1, 2, and then go into my circle again and just finish off. And then I can cut off my excess. So I'm going to cut right there, and then I'll pull this through my loop. I'm going to pull it really tight with the other end first. Okay, and then I'll pull this one and finish it off. Okay, and we've almost essentially made a heart, but it's gonna be a triangle beak, if you can see it. So now you have 2 options. You could either sew this on, but because I'm putting googly eyes on my hat, I'm just gonna hot glue it on. The same way that I'm going to glue my googly eyes. You could use buttons instead, or you could crochet circles if you would like. It's up to you. So I would leave these on if I was going to sew it on, but because I'm hot gluing it, I'm just going to cut them off. So I'll make 1 knot just tying them together. So again, nothing comes undone. And then I'll do it one more time. Okay, and then I can go ahead and trim these. And this will be the back side, so we're not going to see those at all. Then it's up to you. This is where the seam of my hat was, so I'm going to put that in the very back, and then I'm going to flip it over and center my beak right there. I'm going to take my glue gun and get my glue. Don't burn yourself. Okay, and then I'm just gonna stick it in the center. Okay, so there we have our beak, and now I'm gonna do my eyes. I'm gonna try to space them the same. I'm just gonna eyeball it though. So put this guy right there. Ta-da! And there you have it. There is our chicken hat.